Meow! I'm Hoople's cat. What do you do now and in an ongoing disaster to help somebody who's got asthma? Thanks to Storm for suggesting this video topic. Prevention is always better than cure. In the video we just watched, using the inhaler before she started exercising might have prevented the asthma attack. Certainly she should have gone for the inhaler as soon as the asthma attack started. Asthma is a growing health issue.
When you're not having asthma symptoms, your airways are clear. Air can easily flow in and out of your lungs. When an asthma attack begins, the smooth muscles around the outside of the tubes may tighten. The airways, or bronchial tubes, in the lungs become inflamed and swollen. This makes it difficult for air to pass through the opening. The mucous membrane lining in the tubes begins to produce thick mucus, which builds up and further blocks the airways. This tightened airway may result in a wheezing sound and shortness of breath, signs and symptoms of an asthma attack.
Avoid known triggers, if you can. In a disaster, this might be hard to do. Have good stress coping methods now and in a disaster. Do you have a mechanical dust sweeper for when the vacuum machine has no power? Move somewhere with clean air if you can. Pollen. Stay indoors on bad days. Avoid all known allergens. However, have a good look at your home. Does products you use in the house to clean it and to wash things, are they actually safe for human use? Laundry detergent, washing up liquid, dishwasher tablets, cleaning materials. All of these, in most people's homes, contain perfumes, chemicals, colourings that are known carcinogens. Not just for asthma, but for general health. You need to have products that are clean, that you use to clean. Have a good look around your house. Is the stuff you're using safe?
So asthma is a chronic inflammatory disease of the airways. 25 million people in the United States have it. 7 million children. So it's obviously very distressing when one of your children have it. This one's a little easier. This one is you want to try to help reduce the triggers in your life, the ones that can trigger the asthma.
Right. Yep.
So you could use an air purifier. Let's see, Brad, do you want to turn it on so we can at least see what it looks like here?
Ooh.
This is a HEPA filter. These people, they have to watch the air quality every morning. They get up and furry pets, obviously, strong odors, perfumes, cleaning agents. Yeah, so that sets it off for some people.
Exercise-induced.
Exercise-induced.
A little bit kind of a different genre of it.
And cold air. So like if you exercise in cold air, it can be even worse.
Yeah.
Smoke from fireplaces and wood. And a last one I'm going to mention is stress. And, you know, which is, to me, is always problematic because how do you reduce stress in your life? If you think about it, it makes you even more stressful.
Don't smoke and have decent wood fires to stop smoke in the home. Get rid of mould and pests. Again, if there's a disaster, do you have mechanical rat traps? Yes, you might need to change your jobs, and exercise-induced asthma will be covered in a later video. Some people suffer nighttime asthma. If medication is available, try all of these. If medication is not available, try all of these. It's important to use everything at your disposal that might help but won't harm you to try to deal with a chronic disease before a disaster strikes. However, there is one known lifestyle modification that has been shown scientifically to reduce the incidence of asthma in pretty much everybody. It remains controversial because it directly challenges a lot of people's current lifestyles. Okay, this is a trigger warning. This is going to upset some of you bigly.
Someday, I believe that will be proven out bigly.
Plant-based eating. Hey, hold on. Go with this. Yes, the placebo effect. About 10 to 20% of everything is because of a placebo effect. Yes, there is a lot of woo-woo land in this, but science actually agrees with this one modality. Fish has its own health issues, but it does not cause asthma. However, meat, the fat content of meat, even lean meat, has a lot of fat in it, and especially dairy consumption, all dairy consumption, wherever it's hidden, very much does trigger asthma. This isn't my opinion, this is scientific fact. I know a lot of people don't believe in science anymore, but you should. There are many great reasons to go vegan both now and in a disaster, and none at all to eat meat or dairy now. In a disaster, most people will be eating an awful lot more plants than they are right now. In an ongoing disaster, I'll start eating eggs, fish and meat. Won't be eating much of it. Oh yeah, I'm a vegan, you asked, right? There's a lot of woo-woo on this topic. However, if it's safe, give it a try now when modern healthcare is still available to you to repair the damage you might cause using woo-woo and unscientific treatments.
So the number one treatment is the hardest one to do by far. And that's the one where you got to approach food like it's medicine.
Sure.
And there has been several studies that have touted the benefit of a plant-based diet for asthma. So we actually had a guest on.
Right.
And you just thought of his name.
Yeah, Craig, it's been probably a couple years since he's on, and
Yeah.
he had asthma. He's working in a cheese factory, and he's eating normal things, cheese and everything else that everyone eats.
I forgot that.
And he went to plant-based, and his asthma, which was pretty
Severe,
is changing his life. It went away. And he became a runner.
A runner. When you got severe asthma, they had one study in here, Brad, that it was really amazing to me. They had a bunch of people that had severe asthmatic. Mm-hmm. And after 6 months, like 70% of them were better. After 12 months, 90% were better. And some of them were on, like almost, most of them got off the medication that they were on.
Inhalers, things like that.
So, I mean, again, this thing is really well researched, mm-hmm. and they've got excellent references.
Right.
So I would check it out.
At the end of this video, there'll be a slideshow. You can watch it and pause it and read it. It actually is a scientific background about why eliminating all meat and all dairy from your diet is very important if you have asthma. But what is asthma? It's the sudden constriction of the bronchioles, the small airways in the lung, making breathing out very hard. The lining of the airways becomes inflamed, which further decreases the airway size, and this increases the work of breathing, especially exhalation. This causes the unholy trinity when mucus then starts to gather in the airways, further making the airways small and further increasing shortness of breath.
I'm going to speak to you just briefly about how to handle an asthma attack without an inhaler. Have the person who's having an attack or asthma attack exhale stale air as slowly as possible, because the airways are already turbulent, they're already narrowed down, and it's going to be very difficult for the person who's having the attack to be able to exhale slowly or to get air in. Either way, they're going to be very apprehensive, they're going to be trying to struggle for a breath, and they have no medication with them and no inhaler. And this is what this is about, without an inhaler. So have them inhale slowly as possible to not create any more turbulence in the airway, and keeping the patient or the person who's having the attack as calm as possible, and you also remaining calm so that you don't upset the patient further. Allow the patient or the person to sit on the ground if they have to sit down, lean into you to be comfortable, or to sit in a chair and lean into you that way. Sometimes what will happen is someone will find it more comfortable to perhaps lean forward and put their elbows on a table if that's possible. And with that in mind, it allows some of that dirty air which is trapped in there, the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which asthma is a component of, that would be able to escape a little bit easier if you can slow the person down from breathing too heavily. Speak softly to them and make sure that you call 911 while you're comforting the patient, while you're tending to their breathing, trying to get them to slow down, and then stay with them. Don't leave them.
So there you are having an asthma attack. How do you know? Warning signs and symptoms may or may not be present. Expiratory or end expiratory wheezing is famous as a diagnosis of asthma. It's highly unreliable. So what are you going to do? Well, if you're on prescribed asthma medication, try to stockpile it as much as you can, however you can. Ration it if you can safely do so in an ongoing disaster. Try everything now to reduce the use of that medication, but to be honest with you, inhalers are essential for many asthmatics.
Typically, expiratory wheezing indicates some form of COPD, asthma, allergic reactions, anaphylaxis, some form of a respiratory disease that is anywhere from mild to severe. You're going to hear wheezing when you exhale and even when you inhale, depending on the person's condition. But typically speaking, if it's on both exhalation and inhalation, you have a more severe breathing problem that you're dealing with. Expiratory wheezing alone in and of itself can often indicate just a mild airway problem and something that's usually either self-resolves or prescribed medications will handle.
There's a huge variety of medicine types and medications that are available to asthmatics by inhalation. But you generally should know your specific medication and know how to look at found inhalers you might find are lying around after a disaster to use for you in an ongoing disaster. They may have a different name, they may have a different colour. You should be very aware of what's in each inhaler. 99% of the time, blue inhalers are usually going to be salbutamol. You're always going to use this first. You're going to wait 5 minutes before using another colour. Now, if you're having an acute asthma attack, you might want to actually not wait the 5 minutes, but if you can, do so. The salbutamol, or Ventolin as its trade name is, opens and relaxes the airway muscles in the bronchioles. By opening them, they make the asthma go away or make it much reduced. They also allow the next inhalation, if it's prescribed, which is usually a steroid of some description, to actually get more into the lungs because the lungs are more open. So that's why you want to give the blue one first. As I said, wheezing might not be reliable unless you know they are asthmatic. Medical alert bracelets, and if you have a group in a disaster, make sure you find out as fast as you can the actual medical history of everybody in your group. Asthmatics are just like me and you until they have an asthma attack. So what do you do if somebody's having an asthma attack? In the now, you're going to stay calm, you're going to stay focused, you're going to dial 911 or 999 or summon emergency help. You're going to search for inhalers and give them if they're available. If they're unconscious, stay with them. If they're not breathing but have a pulse, start CPR. If they don't have a pulse, they won't be breathing. Start CPR. Breathing exercises may or may not help chronic asthma. I don't have asthma, so I don't know. Again, it might be woo-woo, but some of this stuff might be worth a trial to see if it can help reduce the medication dependency that you currently have.
onset of asthma attack, then do this.
Nobody's levelled this criticism at me yet, but my channel's very Western science-based. It very much doesn't look East, and it doesn't look into spirituality. But what does Eastern holistic medicine have to say about asthma? What does it have to say if there's no inhalers available? A large number of people around the world cannot afford inhalers. Now, I will give you a warning. You might be tempted just to skip through this part. Don't! This guy actually has some interesting things to say, not all of which I agree with, hence the text.
Namaskaram Sadhguru. I have been managing my asthma with medication for a long time. What can I do to eliminate or at least mitigate asthma?
Most of the Indian cities are asthma. If you're in Delhi, this is the only place where you can see the air. It's not something so vital, you're able to see it. So it's so thick you can see it. If you already have a problem, a city is not the place for you. But unfortunately, this is happening in all major cities, it's hard to breathe. You will see if you live in a place where there's fresh air, 25 to 30% of your asthma will go down. Once we remove the outside problem, handling the inside problem becomes a possibility. Human ailments are of two different kinds. There are infectious diseases and chronic ailments. If you take off dairy, you will see, for many people we have seen, 100% of their asthma is only in their dairy product consumption. They take away dairy, asthma is gone. For a large number of people, at least 50% of their problem is in the dairy produce. If you take away that, 50% will come down. Remaining 50% could be easily handled. Milk and milk products and mucus-related problems cannot go together. It highly aggravates these things. Such people should avoid bananas, jackfruits, cooked beetroot. You can eat raw beetroot, but cooked beetroot are highly mucus-forming. One more substance which could be very good for you in daily consumption is honey. Honey is the only substance found on the planet whose chemical composition is very close to that of human blood. If you change a few things, it's almost like blood. Daily consumption of honey can do a lot for your health, especially people who have excess mucus problems.
Watching my channel for a while, you know what I'm about to say. Children are not small adults. But like the diagnosed adults, they should have easy access to their inhalers. It's fashionable for inhalers to be locked away in the principal's office in a lot of schools. I have major concerns with that. If a child has asthma, they should have their inhaler on them, they should know how to use it, their teacher should know how to use it, and probably most of their friends should know how to use it. Whatever the cause of the asthma attack, if the inhalation is available and not given, it can end up in death. If the inhalation is available and is given late, it can end up in death. Overall, have lots of inhalers and have low-dose prednisone available. Have access to prescribed antibiotics so you can early treat chest infections. Remember, in ongoing disaster, you've got a whole bunch of things to do, and you're going to be just fine unless you have an asthma attack. If you have an asthma attack, you may have to try and wait it out without an inhaler. What you won't be able to do in most ongoing disasters is get medical help or go to hospital. So calm yourself down, have meditation so you can calm yourself down as you can't breathe. Try to slow your breathing out and your breathing in. This is going to be very hard. And once the attack is over, relax and stay calm for a few hours before rushing off to do something else. Yes, there's a disaster. Yes, there's things to be done, but you don't want to risk a second attack. I just want to give you one quick tip for diagnosing an asthma attack. There's various means and ways of doing this, but this I find is good for people like you and me to just quickly do. During normal breathing, when I breathe in and then I breathe out, it takes me twice as long to breathe out as it does to breathe in. If you watch an asthmatic having an asthma attack, they'll often breathe in and it'll take 3 to 4 times longer for them to exhale as he did inhalation. This is because of the restricted airways. It's like a straw, literally like a straw. It's much harder to breathe out than it is to breathe in. Well, that's it from me. Good luck, and thanks for watching. I'm going to be going to Gatineau, Quebec for June to get away from the bugs here, and I hope you're safe. There won't be anywhere near as many videos. I have some ideas for a new series or two.
Britain today faces a future that is more dangerous and more divided. There's no doubt our democratic values are under threat. That is why we will introduce a bold new model of national service for 18-year-olds.
This is the new Tory manifesto for the upcoming election. They've taken it straight out of Starship Troopers. The ISBN number on the back in case you want to get a copy for yourself. Hands off our kids, Rishi Sunak. You're not having them.
It's going to take some effort, but I will see you coming back to you in July, if we're all still here. Toodles. Oh, and keep breathing. Poof poof, what's going on?
Good boy, good boy. Oh, take a deep breath in. It's a weird sign. 3, 4, 5, 6.
Try to run off at 5.
7. Good boy, good boy, good boy. Oh.
Arrow dog.
This video was brought to you by a Very Tired Terrier production 2024.